Today, I'm here on stage alone, but really there's a large number of people that sit in our company that I represent to some degree today. Back in Seattle, we are a software company really dedicated, like many of our people across the country, to improving end-to-end partnership management, as we like to refer. And we decided to start a company in Seattle because, for a number of reasons, one of which is that it's the birthplace of cloud-based computing. You probably know that. So we started the company in the backyard of Microsoft, and we know Microsoft Azure is a big player in the cloud space. Also Amazon, and I don't need to introduce AWS to any of you. So it was a great place to do it, and I have had a long history of love with tech, and I actually was lucky enough to spend about 10 years at Microsoft in Redmond, Washington, which was terrific. And during that time, to connect the dots a little bit, I had the chance to talk to many amazing practitioners around the country, just many amazing brands that had perfected really the art form of client-agency relationships. And my intent when I did that was really to identify some of the best practices in the marketplace and really learn from the best. And I was able to do that, leveraging communities like this one, and ended up decided to really capture a lot of this input into a book I wrote in 2010 called Agency Mania, which is now in its second edition. But at the time was really meant to be kind of a foundational place where you could find a lot of these best practices. And you can see now, years later, we ended up naming our company after the book, Agency Mania Solutions. So what I like to do, rather than actually going through a lengthy overview of what we do, I just thought it might be nice to have a little video to get started. So we'll do that with a short video. So here's a quick introduction of who we are.
Great marketing is the direct result of strong client-agency partnerships. Yet remarkable budget pressure and manual processes get in the way of these relationships, undermining their ability to produce outstanding work. Having automated, streamlined processes combined with analytics can simplify complexities, improve decision-making, and eliminate partnership inefficiencies. Custom software solutions eliminate unwanted complexities and waste. By automating and streamlining workflows, processes, and approvals, allowing brand advertisers and their agencies and marketing suppliers to work and collaborate more effectively and productively. Agency Mania Solutions provides custom, cloud-based solutions that enable a far more effective end-to-end management of these relationships via our industry-leading software platform. We handle a wide range of critical activities, including scope of work planning and agency negotiations, expense tracking and reconciliation, briefing management, performance evaluation, KPI tracking, training, partner roster management, asset licensing, and contract management. Whether you're transitioning away from manual processes, clumsy, homegrown tools, or rigid, out-of-the-box solutions, our robust solutions accommodate your business requirements with 100% of the focus on your organizational needs, developing solutions tailored specifically to your unique taxonomy, workflow, and requirements. Transform your partnerships by simplifying and automating critical agency and supplier management activities. Managing partner relationships is hard. We make it easier. Contact us today to request a demo or discover how other leading organizations are realizing high-impact results.
All right. That was a quick overview of what we do as a company. It's not lost on me that there are many companies, including in this room today, that just attempt at working at very similar challenges as we do. And oftentimes I'm getting asked, who are your competitors in this space? And I actually like to think of it as more like a frenemies, because we do share a common cause. Yeah, it reminds me of the time where I worked at Visa. A lot of people were telling me, who's your competition? Is it American Express? Is it MasterCard? Is it Discovery? And funny enough, we all could agree that our main competition at the time was cash. We're all going after cash. And I think if I think about this space, our main competition is actually trying to change some of the manual processes and some of the very static processes that organizations have, and trying to bring more of an automated, streamlined approach to the work. So how many of you have kids? Quite a few. Okay, so you appreciate that. I got a phone call this morning from my daughter. She lives in London. She's an actress. And as of late, she started her acting career by doing stand-up comedy. And so I was talking to her. I'm like, oh, I can't talk too long. I got to be ready to get on stage to do this MC thing. She's like, Dad, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, don't they know that you're not funny? I'm like, no, not yet. Don't spoil it. But she's a stand-up comedian, and probably the most disturbing thing about having a daughter who's an actress and do stand-up comedy is that she actually likes to use material from my personal life. So anyway, I hope she never makes it to Netflix for obvious reasons, but we'll see how it goes. So today is a special day for multiple reasons, and one of them might be actually unexpected. I'm pleased to announce, if you don't know that today is National Cotton Candy Day. And I thought it would be very appropriate for me to mention it because obviously there's nothing sweeter, perhaps beside cotton candy, than actually, be able to actually meet in person with many of old friends, new friends in this kind of event. And, I can only, it's not lost on me either, and I think we talked about this yesterday, that it takes a little bit of bravery to be here today. So to the brave of you, maybe the crazy ones, enough to be here in person, thank you. And those that are joining obviously remotely want to know we appreciate that. But today is National Cotton Candy Day. And I don't know about you, but I like a good irony and certainly a good paradox. And here's one for you, I find out. The machine-spun cotton candy was actually invented in 1897 by a gentleman named William Morrison. And guess what? William was a dentist. That's right, a cavity fighter. And I thought he was actually well suited for today's event because I feel like we live in a world of irony and paradox in many ways. But let me share with you a couple that I think are particularly striking in our industry. One of them is that we ask our marketers to focus on growth, drive innovation, and do so increasingly at very low cost and with very unrealistic timelines, which in return, they end up basically pushing or passing on to their agencies. Another one is marketers are often asked to negotiate well with agencies, and as we know, they are not very often provided with any information or resources really to help them do so. We're also often asking agencies to address performance issues, right? But we don't always take the time and acknowledge the role we play in the many kind of issues that we are ultimately creating for them. We also call agency business partners, but we rarely treat them as such. We're asking agencies really to do amazing work, and we don't necessarily always do a very good job at guiding them through the process of doing so or giving them the information they need. We're asking marketers to be masters at relationship building, but we rarely actually spend any time training them on how to build those skills. And one I like is everybody talks about AI and machine learning and the metaverse. And yet, I think we're still having organizations trading emails and spreadsheets by email and in a very archaic way. So, to me, a lot of this is about irony and paradox. So, my advice to you is a lot of these challenges we face at the industry, they vary in size, right? They vary in scope. They vary in shape and color. They're all very different based on your respective company, right? But those are all real, right? And when faced with such challenges, the temptation is to take shortcuts, right? The French have an expression, we said, save the slippery slope for skiing, which I think is a good advice. But if you think about maybe 4 major things that are, I think, essential where you don't want to take shortcuts. One is you want to take accountability as a client for the role you play for your agency's performance and your marketing teams as well. It's funny because we see a lot of clients looking at their performance of their agencies and looking at the way they drive efficiencies. And funny enough, the one that have the worst relationships, within an organization, for example, it could be a division or a team or a number of people, tend to be also the one that perform the least well in terms of financial efficiency and so on. So we know there's a direct correlation between the two. So take accountability as a client and encourage your teams to take accountability for your agency's performance. Insist again on treating your agencies as partners. And I mean that. And I've seen some really inspiring examples among clients who inspire really their agencies and treat them truly as partners. One example that really struck me was one of the clients just worked on the product launch and really asked the agencies to push the envelope in terms of their ability to service the account. And they actually hire an ice cream truck and send it to the agency as a way of thanking them for their extra work on that particular assignment. Simple gestures of acknowledgement and gratitude, I think, goes a long way, especially in our COVID years. The third one is sitting at the marketing table as a strategic partner. So I'm going to steal something from David Orr at T-Mobile. He told me something yesterday I really liked. We're chit-chatting, and he said, it's one thing to sit at the table as a partner, but you want to be the table. And I like that idea because it kind of speaks really to building a foundation that your marketing stakeholders can rely on. So thanks, David, for that. It's a good metaphor. And then lastly, you need to get alignment on KPIs with other internal stakeholders. And we're lucky enough that this is going to be one of our panels. So I'm excited to talk more about how we get alignments, how we align on KPIs today. So we decided to provide some resources. You may have found that on your chair today. We thought they might be particularly useful. So you'll find something in the keychain, USB keychain. You'll see some interesting content. We provide a number of resources that, we have actually a poster that always kind of became quite appealing for many people, that just an easy visual to really understand the world of agencies and the top agencies. So it's in that USB, as well as a number of other resources, industry update. There's one thing we also wanted to offer today. We launched recently Agency Mania University, and we have a number of modules that we make available, and we decided today to make one of those modules available to you guys for the next 60 days. So, feel free to try it out, share it with your organizations, with your stakeholders. We do have a lot more modules. We actually have also a partnership with the ANA, where you'll be able to get a discount on many of these modules if you actually go to the ANA's website. So just wanted to call that out. So today and yesterday, we heard a lot of good ideas. I don't know about you, but I was overwhelmed by the great insight, but also the great advice that many people were sharing on stage. And, as you walk away from these, I'm sure you're all probably wondering, what should I do? There's so many challenges, so many great ideas to tackle. Which one should I take on? So since there's so many with you, with kids today, I'll leave with you with that thought, which is, I think the answer lies in the question that kids often ask, which is, which teeth, do I need to brush? And as a parent, oftentimes the answer is pretty simple. The ones you want to keep. And I think, if you think about it in the context of a lot of things we talk about today, there's not a lot you can leave on the table today based on a lot of the great ideas. So we're going to get this party started. And without further ado, I would like to invite some of our panelists for our first discussion. So if they could please join.